There ain't no future unless we build it now. It's the future, there ain't no future unless we build it now. United States, Africa, we salute ya. A new state of mind, I introduce ya. Close your eyes and visualize the rise of a new paradigm. Solar powered skyscrapers.
Welcome to the Africa Must Unite podcast, a podcast dedicated to inspiring African people worldwide to rise up, organize, and struggle for Pan-Africanism, a unified, liberated, socialist Africa, the only permanent solution to the exploitation and oppression of African people, no matter where they happen to be born or happen to live in the world. Now please, welcome the hosts of Africa Must Unite.
Africa's future is now, so get ready.
Greetings, I am Sister Tasha.
And I am Brother Terrence, the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party.
And this is Africa Must Unite's podcast.
Yes, indeed. Sister Tasha, this is podcast number 50. Can you believe it? 50.
Whoa, 50. And we're in the month of February. Yes.
50. Greetings, everyone out there. This month's theme is the African world is on fire, and we will be focusing on the area of the Congo, in particular the Congo. But like we do at this time, we always like to hit you off with some dates that, reflect our African people's progressive movement, events, key people. And February is full of them. I mean, a lot of, individuals whose birthday, people who invented things, people who were assassinated this month. But without further ado, we know on February 1st, the first African History Week was launched by Carter G. Woodson and celebrated in 1926. And we know that week went on to be Black History Month. Also on February 1st, it was African students who had a sit-in movement in Greensboro, North Carolina in 1960. Moving to February 4th, people are familiar with it being Rosa Parks' birthday in 1913. Also on the 4th, MPLA launched the armed struggle against the Portuguese in Angola in 1961. Moving to February 6th, Pan-African reggae giant and icon Robert Nesta Marley, a.k.a. Bob Marley, was born on February 6, 1945.
Go ahead, Bob.
There you go. Yama. On February 8th, the Orangeburg Massacre, where African students were gunned down while protesting on South Carolina State's campus in 1968. On February 12th, the NAACP was founded under the leadership of W.E.B. Du Bois and Ida B. Wells, along with many others in 1909. Scrolling down the calendar some more, have to touch on February 14th. It's the birthday of two giants in particular. Frederick Douglass, the abolitionist, editor, and diplomat, was born in Maryland in 1817 on February 14th. Also, the founder of AME Church, Richard Allen, was born on February 14th, 1760. February 16th, Fidel Castro became premier of revolutionary Cuba in 1965. February 17th, we had the birthday of Huey P. Newton, co-founder of the Black Panther Party in 1942. February 18th was the Black Educational Institute known as Morehouse, was founded 1867. Also on February 18th, we have the birthday of Toni Morrison, who was a Pulitzer Prize winner, African novelist, who was born 1931. On that same day, Audre Lorde, African activist and poet, was born on 1934. Excellent date, February 18th.
Is your birthday February 18th, Brother Terrence, as well?
Yes.
Okay.
February 18th. Thank you.
Salute you in the Giants.
All right, on February 21st here, we have African revolutionary leader Malcolm X was assassinated in New York in 1965. That same date, Claudia Jones, African activist and communist, was born in Belmont, Port of Spain, in Trinidad in 1915. And also, Robert Mugabe, Prime Minister of Zimbabwe, was born 1924 on February 21st. We can't forget this sad day of February 24th, when imperialist powers overthrew revolutionary Pan-Africanist government of Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana in 1966. And that's just touching up some of the dates in February.
All right. So just thinking about more on the Congo, which we're focusing on this month, the African world is on fire. Thinking of the Congo, in the words of Kwame Nkrumah in his speech to Parliament on September 3rd in 1965, he said, "Only a united Africa can redeem its past glory and renew and reinforce its strength for the realization of its destiny. We are today the richest and yet the poorest of continents, but in unity, our continent could smile in a new era of prosperity and power." So a little bit more about the Congo. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is literally and figuratively, the heart of the African continent. Fanon famously stated that Africa is shaped like a gun and the trigger is the Congo. If that explosive trigger bursts, it is the whole of Africa that will explode. Fanon, like so many other revolutionaries and African independent figures, have centered Congo as integral to the advancement of the African continent. Congo is the fulcrum on which the figure of Africa swings, and by the extension, the African world. It is arguably the richest land on the planet in terms of natural resources, with an estimated $24 trillion in natural wealth. Brother Terrence, that is a lot.
Yes, indeed. I mean, it says it itself with the Congo. If we can liberate the Congo and put those resources in the hand of the people, that is the trigger of the gun right there. That's the start.
Yeah. Its wealth is coveted worldwide, which has resulted in wars of aggression waged against the people in order to access the precious and strategic minerals which are vital to the capitalist machinery. Unfortunately, though, the current leadership of the Congo and neighboring countries fall in the category of agents of neocolonialism and have provided global finance capital unfettered across access to Congo's riches. Congolese women have borne the brunt of the quarter-century-long war of aggression against the DRC. Hundreds of thousands of women have been systematically raped as a strategy of war. The resiliency that Congolese women have demonstrated in the face of some of the most horrific crimes is unmatched. The Congolese youth are present to this setup, and in the spirit of Patrice Emery Lumumba, are waging a revolutionary Pan-African struggle to free and liberate the Congo and Africa. We encourage Africans at home and abroad, in the spirit of Lumumba, to join the struggle. Lumumba said, "We are not alone. Africa, Asia, and free and liberated people from every corner of the world will always be found right at the side of the Congolese."
Yes, indeed. So for more information on the Congo, we're going to have a discussion today. We're excited to bring on this guest. This brother Maurice from Friends of the Congo will join us to give us some more information and detail of what's happening in this region. Greetings, brother Maurice.
Greetings, how you doing?
All right, I am brother Terrence from Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party. And
I am Natasha from the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party.
We would like to thank you for coming on board here to Africa Must Unite podcast to give us some more information about the Congo area. First and foremost, we want to just start off with acknowledging and thanking you all, saying Asante Sana for your contribution to our 2022 calendar. So that piece of information that Sister Tasha just read is not our words; they are the words of Friends of the Congo. Mm. So once again, we appreciate that.
And
My pleasure.
yeah, and also, Brother Maurice, we also want to thank you for joining us and thank you for your time because we know your time is precious.
Oh, it's my pleasure. How long will we be on?
We should be on for about 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Hmm.
Okay, okay. It's my pleasure to be on. Thank you for the opportunity to engage you yet again. I believe I've been on at least once before, right? Maybe twice.
Yes, absolutely. Once I know for sure once. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was actually I was trying to work it out so you could speak to one of the brothers directly from the ground, but it was just we haven't fully nailed down a solid technology yet, to make sure that there are no issues. But once we do that, I would love for that to happen. Because they're on the front lines. I'm like a gateway, so it's always good to hear from people who are directly experiencing the brunt of capitalist system and imperialism.
Absolutely.
They provide a unique insight that we're not necessarily privy to.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So at some point I'd love for us to make that happen.
Oh yeah, we will.
Yep, definitely.
So without further ado, brother, we got a few questions here. We want you to answer and give us more information on, Sister Tasha.
All right. So, Brother Maurice, you just mentioned talking about the enemy, capitalism, imperialism, and nowadays imperialism is a form of neocolonialism. So, can you tell us a little bit more about the enemy's presence in the Congo?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is that presence, right, is hundreds of years that it's been ongoing. I think for us, fundamental to understanding the relationship, if you want to call it that, between Europe and Africa, it's the one of theft and plunder, right? That has been present since the issuing of the papal bulls coming out of Europe in the Catholic Church, where the foundation of which is the so-called doctrine of discovery, where European powers felt that any land or people that they encountered, they were entitled to it, as long as those people were not, quote unquote, Christian or Catholic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what this did was it provided the casus belli, the rationale, not only for the appropriation of land, but also for the appropriation of human bodies and the extraction of those human bodies to fulfill the economic purposes or desires of Europe. And the region that we're talking about, the heart of the African continent, the Congo, probably more than anywhere else in Africa and the African world, has borne the brunt of this pursuit of wealth, of plunder by Europe. In that, the 4 out of every 10 Africans who were extracted from the continent, who were trafficked over hundreds of years of European enslavement of Africans, 4 out of every 10 came from the Congo region. And this is the initial relationship or foundation or exchange in quote-unquote modern times between Europe and Africa. So this extractive process began with the with the depopulating of the African continent, primarily out of the heart of the continent, and it laid the foundation for the relationship between Europe and Africa. And it is that foundation that we continue to struggle to dismantle and overturn today. Of course, started out with the extraction of human bodies for hundreds of years, from the 1400s right up to the 1800s. And then it transitioned to the extraction, the focus anyways, of natural resources. And then again, we see the Congo looming large, in that it was a special place in the Berlin Conference. In fact, the Berlin Conference was also called the Congo Conference, whereby Congo wasn't initially colonized, but it was given to King Leopold II of Belgium as his own personal property, where he owned everything. And within the 23-year period that he owned the Congo, he extracted up to $1 billion worth of wealth, but at the expense of Congolese, where an estimated 10 to 15 million perished due to the extraction of rubber and ivory out of the Congo. So here we see Congo serving as a space really for the first, quote unquote, even though I don't like to use the term, genocide of the 20th century. And it was so outrageous that even Europeans had to rise up against the king's ownership. But even in their rising up against the king's ownership of the Congo, it wasn't an uprising to turn Congo back over to the Congolese, but rather an uprising to provide a more benign occupation, a more benign extraction of resources, a more benign plunder of, if you can call it that, of the Congo. So it was turned over to the Belgian state. And it in 1908, where Belgians ruled the Congo as a colonial outpost. So the point for my sharing this is that to lay the framework that obtains to this day, where not only Congo, because Congo is emblematic of the African continent in terms of the tragedy that Africa has endured and the potential that exists in Africa, among African peoples, in that framework is one where the continent is seen as a source of extraction, a source of plunder, to the benefit of Europe. So to the extent that Europe is quote unquote rich, it's a result of a system that they've put in place, system of capitalism, system of imperialism, system of neocolonialism that keeps Africa dependent, impoverished, and in a weakened position to the point where we haven't arrived at controlling and determining our own affairs. And when we produce leaders that seek to do that, then Europe is quick to use what it's naturally inclined to do, and is that extreme violence to decapitate that leadership in order to maintain the system that keeps the African dependent, keeps the African impoverished, and keep Europe wealthy through the extraction or through benefit as a result of benefiting from Congo and Africa's wealth. So that first question about the enemy's presence, that enemy's presence is systemic, and it's a 500-year presence, and that's what we've been fighting against for the past 500 years at least, to overturn that system so that we can control and determine our own affairs. And the overall impact on the people in the country, it's evident, it's self-evident. We have Congolese living in abject poverty, a country that's said to have an estimated $24 trillion worth of natural resources, but 7 out of 10 Congolese live on less than $2 a day. A country that is not food secure, up to 16 to 20 million of Congo's 90 million population facing starvation. A country that that has the hydro capacity or the natural capacity to produce hydroelectricity for the entire African continent, Southern Europe, and the Middle East, but yet less than 10% of the population have access to electricity. According to the Food and Agricultural Organization, they say Congo has the agricultural capacity to produce food for an estimated 2 billion people. That's twice the population of the current African continent, and equivalent to the world increase in population in up to 2050. So here it is that there's tremendous potential, whether we're talking about agriculture, whether we're talking about energy, whether we're talking about natural resources, whether we're talking about wealth. But yet, when you look at the Human Development Index of the United Nations, of the 187 countries or so, Congo is near the bottom every time. So there's a system in place that's designed to do that. And it wasn't just put in place, as I've shared, it's been in place for hundreds of years. And the women have borne the brunt of this system, in the sense that violence is a part of it. And when neo-colonial leaders are put in place, like Mobutu was in 1965, and the West is looking to get rid of them and have another neo-colonial leader in place, they have different weapons at their disposal. And in this case, in the Congo, they used war, where they got their proxy leaders, or I don't know if I call them leaders, but they're proxies out of Rwanda, Paul Kagame out of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, to invade the Congo twice, in 1996, 1998, in an effort to install another puppet in the Congo. And as a result of this war of aggression, with these wars of aggression against the Congo, hundreds of thousands of women were systematically raped. So they've borne the brunt of the wars of aggressions, of the ongoing conflict in the Congo. And in this space, any revolutionary or progressive motion by the people, well, we're looking at a space that produced Lumumba. Right. So the Lumumba tradition exists today, particularly among the youth. And the Congo is, much like the rest of the African continent, is a country of teenagers. The median age is 17. And those young people are embracing Lumumba, in spite of the fact that there's a neo-colonial education system in place that tries to erase Lumumba, does not present Lumumba in their curriculum at all. These youth have sought through extraordinary means to discover Lumumba, and they have embraced his words, his teachings, his ideas, and they're utilizing his ideas and his teachings in their music, in their art, in their discourse, in an effort to create or to continue the ideas that Lumumba had of a strong Congo and a strong Africa, the Pan-African ideals that Lumumba embraced, that he shared with Kwame Nkrumah, with Sekou Touré, and so many others coming out of the 1958 All-African People's Conference in Accra. So,
excuse me,
it is
Brother
among, yes.
For a quick second. So you mean to tell me that Lumumba is not taught in the curriculums of the school?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
As first?
No. The continent as a whole, right?
Yes.
Is functioning under a neo-colonial system. And fundamental to that is the educational system. And the curriculum across the continent produces people who wind up knowing more about Europe than they know about their own countries and their own cultures. In the education system. And Congo is no different.
And Brother Terrence, that's similar to
Absolutely. You know more about Shakespeare and Greece and Rome than you would know about ancient Kemet. You're right.
Absolutely. White supremacy is global. You know, remember, the sun, they said the sun never set on the British Empire.
Right.
So the Europeans, they went around the world conquering people. And part of that, in order for you to conquer people, you have to erase their culture. And anyone who have a sense of themselves and know who they are, they're not going to live as conquered people. So critical to conquering people is to erase any sense of their heritage, their culture, their history, their greatness. Because if you have that sense instilled in you, then it will be very difficult for you to be conquered. So that's, even as the revolutionary process on the way in the Congo, and we've talked with the brothers and sisters on the ground and had several exchanges, and most of Africa is rural. 60 to 70%. They're not in the cities. So part of our strategy is to target rural communities. That's why I'd love for you to talk to Brother Samuel, who lives in rural Congo. And part of that is getting is a political education of rural communities. It's one of the projects that we have on the way. He said the role of organizations such as ours. I'll get to that. The revolutionary progressive motion by the people is through people's education, establishing learning centers, libraries, books, basically engaging the African mind. That's one of the key projects that's on the way right now. And a way in which we can support projects such as what brothers and sisters are doing in the Congo. This one particular project, it's led by an organization called GOVA that deals with rural political education, rural Pan-African education. And this is for their efforts. Right now, it's kind of interesting. They're asking for some books, and we're trying to get the books to them. It's not necessarily easy. There's a conference that's unfolding in Venezuela, so some of our members are participating. So we send the books to Venezuela through our members, and Venezuelan ambassador or the Cuban ambassador to Congo, Brazzaville was going to be at the same conference. So we asked them to take the books back to Congo, Brazzaville, and then our folks in Kinshasa went to Congo, Brazzaville to collect the books. And then those books were shipped from Kinshasa to Kisangani, which is in the northeast of the country. And as we speak, they're being now transported from Kisangani which is a main city, to rural areas in the Congo. And that was made possible through several means, by individuals willing to carry the books when they're traveling, or sending money to ship the books. I believe it cost about $800 or so. So wow. Small donations were able to get the books from Kinshasa to Kisangani, and now they sent us a budget where they're establishing the centers for the library centers or the learning centers where they need chairs and desks. I think it was. I have to look at the budget again, maybe $1,000 or so. So we collect small donations and send. So that's where you can. There's a whole undertaking where you see small amount of money can make a big difference in getting resources. In this case, intellectual resources or materials to people in rural Congo, so that they can learn and become politically educated through reading and books that were sent to them as a part of the revolutionary process and revolutionizing the minds of rural communities in the Congo as a part of a overall Pan-African project. So that's one example of the roles of organizations in the Pan-Africanist struggle, the socialist struggle. And another one, of course, is what you're doing today, providing a platform. In this case, it's for me and Friends of the Congo, but in the future, we hope we can get some of the groups on the ground to be engaged with you as well. And being in the empire, in the belly of the empire, we cannot, even though we're catching hell here, we cannot overlook empire privilege that we have. We have access to a whole array of resources that folks on the ground in the Congo and Africa do not have. So the extent to which, and one of them is communications. We communicate freely. Like for us, we flip a switch and the light comes on. We turn on the tap and the water comes out, right? We don't think about it, but that's empire privilege. If you spend any time in the Congo at all, you're going to spend some time in the dark. You're going to turn that tap and soot is going to come out, or nothing may come out, right? So just the very fact of being able to flip the switch and turn the tap, that's empire privilege. And we have to be present to that. And you're present to that by when you go and you visit. I'm not even talking about rural Congo. I'm talking about in the city, like the capital of Kinshasa, that's bigger than New York, right? It's got 12 to 14 million people. But you spend a great deal of time in the dark, right? Because there's just the electricity is that inconsistent. and the country is that underdeveloped by design. So to the extent that we can leverage whatever privilege we have here that we take for granted to assist our brothers and sisters on the ground, and a big way is through communications, because we have consistent communication. When we can get them on, and we spread the word to our people about what they're doing, what they're experiencing, and the hell they're catching, but also how they're resisting, and their aims to ultimately control and determine affairs of Congo and Africa. So that can be played by individual organizations, and a coalition of organizations can do the same in working in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in the Congo in particular, and Africa in general.
Wow. You know what, Brother Maurice, man, this was a very enlightened presentation on the Congo. From historical perspective all the way up to now. And I really appreciate you informing us on what's happening on the ground and the rural projects, political, with the political and Pan-African education, and definitely connect with us in whatever role we can play in getting books and information there too. We would, definitely like to join in with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly will, and I really appreciate your comrades providing us again the platform to share with you the work that's being done.
I did have one question, Brother Maurice. One more question. I was wondering when you talked about the youth and that they were in the spirit of Lumumba, they were making sure that they helped fight for their rights, fight for the things that are fair. So, talked about the projects, the conferences that are happening. Was that like the spark for the youth? I'm just wondering what was the spark that made them start getting active? Because we try our best to make sure that we light the fire under the feet of our youth to get them moving. Yeah. But I'm just wondering, like, what was that spark that made them do that?
That's a really good question. There really isn't one spark that I can identify. For example, this young brother Ben Kabamba, who's from Kisangani, Lumumba's home base. He was much like Lumumba himself. Lumumba was a self-taught intellectual, and so he had this desire to seek greater knowledge and information. So we have young people like that. And then we have other examples of Lumumba, because Lumumba, remember, he was from an elite class, the so-called Ebouloué, the bourgeoisie. That's where he came out of, right? Mm-hmm. He really wasn't radicalized until the 1958 All-African People's Conference in Accra. That's where you notice a shift in Lumumba, with him being in conversation with Nkrumah, in conversation with Touré, in conversation with Fanon. All of these people were there. The great debate that took place, Padmore was a key organizer of that conference. So, like Lumumba, a number of these young people who have a chance to go to some of the Pan-African conferences that we help to facilitate, that's also contributed to their embrace of Lumumba. We just did a ceremony for Juliana Lumumba, the only daughter of Patrice Lumumba, at one of our centers in Kinshasa, and youth engaging with her and hearing her story, an incredible story from the biological family of Lumumba, has also helped to inspire the youth and fire them up. So it's a wide range of reasons. The current crop of leadership, the neo-colonial leaders that are in place, and that are working hand in glove with the imperialists and the neo-colonialists. They have reigned over the people to the point where the hell that the youth are experiencing is just unbearable, and they're seeking. They're like, is this what African leadership looks like? And it encouraged some of them to study and explore, and they discover, if we look at Lumumba, like, He had a clear love for the people, clear love for Congo, clear love for Africa, and that resonates with the youth. And there's this they see an example of a leader that is not primarily concerned with his belly and his own self-interest, but concerned with the masses. So that has attracted some of the youth. And actually, I'll send a video after this. I may have sent it before, but even if I did, I'll send it. I'll send it again, where the youth using hip hop and music to not only acknowledge and commemorate Lumumba, but also to spread his message to the current generation. And we just can't underestimate the power of revolutionary hip hop.
Never.
It's just such a powerful tool. It's just that we haven't, the masses of us haven't really fully embraced it as that. At least not anymore.
Yeah,
So they
shut
are using it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll send that, and I'll give you a sense of how the youth are melding their contemporary conditions with the teachings and ideals of Lumumba, and using him as a model for what leadership looks like, and what they are to aspire to, and what it means to truly love your country, to love your people, and to love Africa.
Yes. I'm just reminded of Marcus Garvey's quote of, if all else fails, the conditions will organize the people. I may be paraphrasing that, but and that's across the board. Once people get absolutely fed up, it's gonna bring you together. It's gonna bring you to fight for it. Well, Brother Maurice, again, definitely enlightening conversation. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, just to let you know that the fires of revolution are burning in the Congo, irrespective of all the bad news that we see out there. It's so vital to remember that there's a cadre of young people and older people too, who embrace the ideals, the visions of Lumumba, of Nkrumah, and early independence revolutionary leaders. And they're continuing the pursuit for a free and liberated Congo, free and liberated Africa. And they seeking our solidarity and our support. So just cannot overstate how that an awareness of that, an understanding of these forces that are on the ground in the Congo are there, and that they're seeking our support, they're seeking our solidarity. So to the extent that you can support them, provide them solidarity, it will be transformative, not only for them, it'll reinforce their resolve to continue their battle for free and liberated Congo, free and liberated Africa, and free and liberated African world. And so you can, through our website at friendsofthecongo.org, support our efforts. We post them on there, and we'll continue to send you, projects that we're doing and ways in which you can concretely support the work that we're doing.
Well said.
So much. Yes, well said. Thank you. So all throughout 2022, at times with the help of invited guests, our focus will be on the 2022 theme of our calendar, The African World is on Fire. Thank you, Brother Maurice, for your time today. We are going to be highlighting the current reality of many places throughout the African world, from Libya to Ethiopia, from the Congo to Tanzania, South Africa, from Haiti to Brazil and the United States. So join us next month when we will discuss the current reality of Ethiopia.
All right. Meanwhile, all right, brother.
All right. Y'all be well. Thank you so much.
You too. Forward.
All right, then. All right. Forward ever, backward never.
Yes.
All right. Peace.
Meanwhile, visit our website. That is Pan African Revolutionary Socialist Party.org. I know just one continuous word there again. Pan African Revolutionary Socialist Party.org. You can also email us at panafricanrsp@gmail.com. Again, panafricanrsp@gmail.com. Like us on SoundCloud, visit us on YouTube, and definitely leave some comments on our Facebook page. That's www.facebook.com, and you can search Pan African Socialists. Again, Pan African Socialists.
And remember, organization is the key. So join us, any other Pan African Revolutionary Socialist Party or organization, a union of African Socialist States is on the horizon.
All right.
Breaking the silence, for those that are living through violence, let's have a moment of silence for a neighbor, silence for a leader, silence for Congo. Today I'm breaking the silence. Oh, I got to silence. Oh, I got to silence. Oh, I got to break the silence. Today I'm breaking the silence.
There is a crisis in the Congo. Millions of lives have been taken.
People have lost their homes. Millions of women and children are raped daily.
Young boys are forced to join different malicious rebel groups to kill their people against their own will.
It's unbelievable, the numbers. You know what I mean? This is Holocaust status. You know what I'm saying? And nobody's talking about it because it's black people.
When the word genocide comes to mind, who do you think of? And why do you think of this? They say every injustice is possible when good people are silent.
People have lost their homes. Women and children have been raped daily.
Millions of my brothers and sisters is dying in the Congo over resources that are needed to make cell phones,
laptops, iPads, iPods, cell phones. Even your smartphone in your pocket got an innocent child's blood on it.
Millions are killed over resources. Children and women are being raped. People are losing their homes. All over the fighting over these resources. It's being ignored by the media.
And the media is just not covering this at all. Not U.S. media, not world media.
The international community is not doing anything about it. And the media is barely covering any of this news. Now, the demand of these items in modern day society fuel the corporations, which in turn fuels the war in the Congo.
The United States helps promote the violence in order to have access to the minerals of the country.
Congo has the agricultural potential to feed the entire world. It's also part of the second largest rainforest. What you need to do is help break the silence within yourself first. Go online, Google, research, find out what you can do from there.
Peace and love to this homeboy Sam, man.
My name is Mr. Len, and I'm breaking the silence.
And I am breaking the silence.
Today I'm breaking the silence.
We're breaking the silence.
I'm breaking the silence.
And I'm breaking the silence.
And I'm breaking the silence. Breaking the silence.
My name is Pharaoh Monch, and I'm breaking the silence.
This is Talib Kweli, and I'm breaking my silence. You should break yours.